So it's the last two episodes of Lovely Runner. Now it's time to see how this series is going to end.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review on the Review Garden.
So pretty much in episode 15 of Lovely Runner, you still have, Sunjay still trying to get her attention. And then you have Soul that's still trying to be, that's being mean to him and telling him to stay away. Also, in this episode, you have Sunjay and you have Taeyang who are remembering certain things in the timeline. So, like Taeyang was like telling her like he's feeling weird. He's having these feelings, but he knows that the two of them are friends, and so pretty much he's feeling those feelings where he remember when he apologized to her and was like, "Oh, my feelings for you were real. Like, it wasn't that I was trying to take advantage." Right? And then you have Sunjay who is remembering certain moments, like when he was at her house after the baby puked on him, and when he left, he got the memory of like when he came over her house to drop her off and she confessed her feelings, and then they were kissing in his house, in her house. I think that was like their second kiss, right? And the part that was funny to me in this was when he came out of the shower. I was not expecting that, but I was like, oh my gosh, all the steam, and he's coming out and she's like trying to hide her eyes the um with the body wash. But it's funny though that he used the whole bottle. She was like, I just got this, oh my gosh. But that scene was hilarious and so nice to include in the series, right? And so yeah, so pretty much um it was, he's remembering a lot all the way to the end of episode 15. He remembers pretty much everything. But what I want to touch on is the fact that in this episode, you saw that the cab driver, the bad guy in here, he was more focused on Sunjay than he was on Soul. So it's like, okay, well, is his obsession with Soul or is his obsession with Sunjay? Because every timeline, he kidnaps Soul, right? But in every timeline, he kills Sunjay. So it's like, okay, well, who are you? Who's the obsession, right? Because, like, I don't know. And for here in this episode, he was pretty much, um, going after Sunjay in a way. Um, and when at the end of the episode, he saw Sunjay on the in the street, and he was like, "Get lost!" And he was gonna run into Sunjay until Tae Young came and like hit him. But Sunjay's eyes closed, so I'm like, did he hit his head very hard? That like, is he dead or is he just closing his eyes? Because like that was a little thing to me, but there was no blood coming out of his head, and the car didn't really hit him. It was more like maybe the shock of like all the memories coming back to his head. So with him, kind of like what Soul's grandma explained, like even though the head wants to forget, he is remembering everything that happened in every single timeline, which is similar to Soul. So it's like, okay, well, did he time travel as well? Is that what we're gonna find out in episode 16, or is it just her that is time traveling? You know, and how come he is able to remember everything, and how come Tae Young is able to remember everything? What about everyone else? Everyone else technically should be remembering everything too, right? Because the time, like, it happens to everyone. Everyone's story kind of changed a little bit, right? So in this sense, it's like, okay, well, it doesn't make sense how only certain people are able to remember the timeline when it was altered for everyone, right? Um, and then also the the hilarious moment in here was when Soul's mom ran into Sunjay's dad at the sauna, and he was like, "Oh, my son doesn't chase after women, okay? My son is this, my son is that." And yet the next scene, his son is at Soul's house trying to give her medicine, talking to himself, saying, "Oh, I shouldn't be here. If I'm here, then she's gonna think like I'm following her." And I'm like, yeah, okay. Every time his father is like, "My son is this, my son is that," yet the same scene, similar scene of what happened in the game shop, he was like, "No, I chased her. I told her to like me." Da, 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 da. So it's kind of funny when, because the mom is like, "Oh, I know a great girl, my daughter." And this man had the audacity to be like, "Oh, I remember seeing your daughter. Stunning is not the word I would give her." And I'm like, yo, you need to hurt this man. Hurt him. So like she like pushed him into the wall. But that was funny. Then the other funny part in this episode was when Tae Young wanted to get the the black box from Sunjay's car, and then he had to go to Inyuk to get it. So then when the three of them met, and the hostility between Sunjay and Taeyong over Seoul, because he saw them coming out of Taeyong saw them coming out of Sunjay's apartment, and like he was feeling some type of way, and Sunjay is thinking that Soul's love of her life is Taeyong. So like they got the right, and Inya is just sitting in the middle, and he's like, "What is going on? Like, you're my friend and you're my friend, so technically we're all friends." And I'm like, so like so then when the tea came, the two guys, they're like, "Oh no, it's not hot for me. It's not hot for me." Yet they're over here burning the inside of their mouths because they're trying to show which one of them is stronger than the other. Like, that was hilarious to me. And I'm like, you guys are forgetting when, like, one lifeline ago, you were all on the beach enjoying each other's company, right? So like, let's remember those happy moments. And something else that was said in this episode, so right before Taeyong and Detective So went after the bad guy, right? So no, he said that in 2008 that he was arrested for the attempted, I think he said attempted murder, but I thought in 2008 it was actually a murder that happened, right? and it was the reservoir case. So that's how, Soul got all wrapped up into it when she got off the bus the wrong in the wrong stop, and all of that happened, right? And the driver ended up taking her phone. That was like the first time he met her, right? And then that was the first time he met Sunjay. So what I'm saying in this timeline is, since she's okay and she tried to stay away from Sunjay, so it's like, one, who helped the cop know that it was him? So was there significant um uh, evidence to say that he was the one who did it? Because it was Taesong's dad who helped arrest him six who helped arrest him in 2008, and then he served 6 years in prison. um or did Soul, like, you know go help the father for some reason? And the other thing that's weird is, so then when did Soul and Taesung become friends? Because he was like, in so the thing happened in 2008, right? They're in 2013. They're in 2023. So Taesung told her, "We've been friends for 10 years." So 10 years would put them at 2013. That's way past, all those events. Huh, I don't know, but there's like plot holes here, because yeah, because if unless he said we've been friends for more than 10 years, then it would make sense. But if he says we've been friends for 10 years and they're in 2023, or if that timing didn't happen yet and they're in 2022, still, like, for 2008 when the first accident happened, and then 2009 when the second accident happened in the altered life, in the altered timeline. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Her this whole time in high school, like, she was just by herself. I don't know, but hopefully they clear up more stuff in the end. The only thing um that they haven't cleared up, or were we just supposed to assume happened, the first time that Sun Jae died, right? It was claimed to be a suicide, that he tried to kill himself. The second time, that he died in his hotel room, we know that it was the guy who stabbed him, right? That was the cause for her to use her third um click on the watch to go back, right? So they never actually showed the scene of the first one. So it's like, did he come after him? Did the bad guy come after him that first time? They never showed it, but it's like, are we supposed to assume that that's what happened? They never showed what really happened that time. So I wonder if they're going to show it in episode 16, or if this is just, okay, well, that's what we're thinking happened. For once, the white truck in a drama hit someone that deserved to be hit. So episode 16 starts with, you know, um, pretty much where it left off. So Sunjay's in the hospital, and the bad guy pretty much gets out of his car, and he's running away from Taesung. Taesung's running after him. Then he runs in the middle of the street, and he gets hit by a truck, a dump truck. And then while he gets hit, he falls over into the water, and you see all this blood. So he's pretty much dead. So now there's really no reason for Sunjae and Soul not to be together. So she hears this in the radio because she was gonna go back home. And even Taesung's father, they showed him. Luckily, nothing happened to him. In this timeline, so he was like, don't blame yourself. The fact that he died meant someone else could live, because they found all these things in the back of his car that pretty much showed them that he was going to kill someone. So he pretty much said, yeah. So which is why now Soul is like, oh, it's over because he's dead. There's really no reason for Sunjae to be in danger anymore. But I feel like, yes, I'm happy that it's over. I'm happy that, like, this is my reaction, like 23 minutes in. But I kind of wanted an explanation as to why he kept going after them. Like, what was his infatuation with them? Yeah, you could say, okay, yeah, he wanted to kill, but in this timeline, she had zero interaction with him, right? So why was he coming after Sunjae? Or is it just like he just happened to be in the same environment as them, right? So Sunjae pretty much remembers everything, all the different timelines that happened. He remembers everything. So he gets out of the hospital. He's like running to go to Seoul. Soul gets out of the cab. She's running to go to him to make sure that he's okay. So like he's like, when they finally come in front of each other, he's like pretty much telling her that he remembers everything. And then all of a sudden she like drops her guard and she starts, crying, and that pretty much is the start of their romance. Now. So now she's not trying to be mean anymore. She's embracing the love between her and him. And like a month, not a month later, I think it was still during that time, and they were like, "Ooh, I love you, I love you." But if you really think about it, it's like all the time that they spent together, kind of like, yeah, so it makes sense that they would say it right then and there, right? So then now it fast forwards to a month later. So it seems like maybe Soul went back to her job, and now she's working on something new, and she wants to, work, but Sunjae wants to spend time with her. So he's acting like a little kid, and even though she says no, he's gonna do it anyway. So he came to where she was at, and he bought everyone in the restaurant food just so that he wouldn't make it obvious. And then when she leaves, he follows her to the library and so on. And then he's like, oh, well, we could go somewhere that's very quiet and you can spend time with me. And then he brought them to his house. So I was like, oh, you little snake. You think you slick. Then, they show you, the next scene they show you is like her mom, her grandma, her brother, and her best friend were at their house, and the brother was like, oh, I finally got my big role. and it was pretty much just him. His head was wrapped up, and you know he never wakes up. Pretty much him in a coma. He never wakes up, and everybody's acting around him. But I was gonna be like, oh, how come Soul doesn't help him, because he wants to become an actor. Soul is a writer, and Sunjay is a actor. So technically now that could open some doors for him. But I remember what happened when Soul gave him the lottery money, and he pretty much fumbled that bag, because he when he went to go get the money, the ticket, he was drunk, and he pretty much told everybody what the numbers were, so he didn't get a high um a high amount. There were 50 other people who won with those numbers. So I don't think right here, right now, it seems like they're still living in the same place. So I don't think they got much with the money. So I'm like, I don't know if she should help him again. And especially now she can't go back in the past anymore. So this is pretty much the timeline that they're gonna stay in, because there's really no reason to go back. Like, they're literally not in danger anymore. So it's pretty much pretty much make your future here, or make your present here, right? So the series pretty much ended on a good note. So the um afterwards, they were pretty much happy with each other. You got to see a different side of Inyuk with Soul here, because I think in the other ones, he didn't like her because of everything that Sunjay went through. You know, with like her ignoring him, her being mean to him, every time Future Soul left the body, the one that was left was always mean to Sunjay. So every time when she went back to the future, he was pretty much not not really interacting with her and not liking her for Sunjay. But here in this one, since they didn't really have an interaction throughout the years, he he didn't have a problem with her. So like he was giving Sunjay tips on how to propose, and all these things. And his proposal, the first proposal, was hilarious, because it was your typical proposal, and then she kind of called it out, and she was like, don't tell me you're gonna propose right now. It's setting the mood for that. And like it kind of gave the same feeling as the King the Land proposal, when he was gonna propose to her with like the drones and the thing. But he didn't, because that was the same time when she was like, she's going to start her own business and she wants to focus on that. So here in this one, we kind of get the same idea. She was like, she wanted to direct her own movie and submit it. So that was going to take a long time, a while. So she needed to focus more on that. So with that whole scene too, you could see like he was doing the same thing as before, where he was like, is it the right timing? Like like back in the previous episodes, when he was trying to find the right timing to tell Soul that he likes her. So here he was trying to find the right timing to propose, but it wasn't the right timing for him. And I do like that they tied in the whole um I think they're the cherry blossoms. Yeah, so like before, when they were dating, and he was like, uh make a wish, and they wished the same thing. Here it was, his way of doing his proposal to her. And like I while I was watching that, I was like, they should have showed us the wedding where all of them, pretty much get together, like all his family, well, his dad or her family, and like his friends, and kind of like his Eclipse performing at the wedding. That would have been nice to see. But they kind of showed you a clip of the two of them getting married with, there was no one there, and there was no one officiating the wedding. So it was like, okay, what is going on? And then they just like backed out, and they were like, did you just, so like, were they trying to tell us that they were just thinking of what their wedding would look like? So that's how they tried to show us the wedding. But I feel like you could have just, continued it and showed us how the wedding went. But that's just my opinion. And the other part I liked in here was the baby's um la 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 the baby's first birthday. And yeah, and also it looked like the money they got wasn't enough for them to even get out of their situation. So it's almost like the whole thing was kind of pointless for her to give him the numbers. But whoever the other 50 people were that got some money too, I bet they got helped in one way or another, right? Yeah, so back to the birthday party, because he had to meet the parents, even though, you know, in his mind he's already met the parents, but in this timeline, it wasn't official to them yet. So they've been dating for a month and they haven't really told the parents. So he used the birthday as an opportunity, and you could tell the grandma was very happy to see him. She was like, "Why are you so late?" you know so it also looked like the grandma was the one behind everything. But I feel like there's no exact reasoning as to how everything happened. But okay, we're gonna deduce that the grandma was the one behind everything, because Sunjay and Soul were like, "Where's your watch?" And he was like, "I don't know. It probably got lost somewhere." And then they showed you the grandma throwing the watch in the river that Soul first fell into, um, back in the very beginning. Uh, and then, after the party, she pretty much went to Sunjay and was like, "Oh, you know, be happy now and just laugh," and you know, kind of having that moment with him. And then another part I liked about this was the interaction between Sunjay and Taesong when when he found out, because he was like, at first he was like telling him like, "Oh, you're her ex boyfriend, not her real boyfriend." And Taesung was like, "We never dated. Did Soul tell you we dated?" So it was that moment that he realized that it didn't happen in this timeline, and he was like, "That's a great change." So, and he also like said thank you to Taesung for everything that happened with the bad guy. So now him and Soul can have a better future, now a peaceful future, and they can move on and they could be together and, be happy. They don't have to worry about some bad guy that's coming after the both of them for like no reason, only because he's obsessed with them. So, with all that, I mean, I was happy with the way they ended it. We definitely got a happy ending. From the beginning, you thought like maybe, ooh, like anything can happen, but I was happy with the way they ended it. So now, join me again for my review, well, for my rating for the entire series.
And this wraps up our journey on the Review Garden. Thank you for joining me today as we explored this drama. If you enjoyed this reaction and review, please remember to subscribe for more insightful videos. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps our channel grow. As always, I'm truly grateful for your support and for joining me on this journey on the Review Garden. Until next time, and happy listening. Bye.